And just kudos to Adesanya for this. I mean, going out there giving a guy like Pyfer a chance. It's not close in the rankings. It's an exciting fight for fans, and that just shows the quality of warrior that he is. Putting his reputation on the line to fight an up-and-coming guy that he doesn't need to fight. And he goes out there and he said, I want exciting fights, and this is an exciting fight.
And revise old moves. Like watching, did like some breakdowns of my old fights from China on my Freestyle Bender page. And I was watching myself like, damn, I don't do that anymore. Why am I not using that move? And I'm just revising certain things and bringing them back. So, yeah, I can't wait to just show off this weekend.
Kind of getting washed now.
Nah, I don't think he's washed, bro. I mean, 36 isn't that old, I don't think. It's not like he took a ton of damage in his UFC career. He had that real close fight with Kelvin Gastelum, but, and then he had the one fight with Pereira, but, like, he really wasn't, like, getting, like, he's never been, like, one shot knocked out, like, cold, stiff. So I think he's still young. I think he takes care of himself, I hope. And, no, I expect the best version of him. I think the pressure's off of him worrying about a belt or him worrying about what anybody else has got to say. I don't know where he's at in his life. I could be completely wrong, but I'm going to train for the best Israel Adesanya. I don't want to go out there and be made a fool. I don't want to go out there and fucking become a meme. So I want to go out there and cause damage, hurt him, and be the first to finish him in a dominating fashion where it's like, man, he just couldn't hang in there. So we'll see, man. I got a lot of work ahead of me. But whatever one shows up, I'm ready to take him out.
UFC Fight Night, Israel Adesanya, Joe Pyfer.
I gotta go Izzy, man. I know he's on a skid right now, but I think so he's gonna have his y'all must have forgot moment here, and I think a KO is coming, to be honest.
Can go either way, but I would say Adesanya. More technical, I think, by decision.
I like Israel's style, how creative he is, the way he strikes, but I think Joe Pyfer is going to beat him. I think Joe Pyfer is just going to hold him down for the 3-5. His wrestle's going to be too much, and I think he's going to struggle.
I'm going to say Izzy. Decision.
Adesanya.
Israel Adesanya, decision.
Israel Adesanya, I think knockout.
It just might be, and I will explain why in just a second. Of course, tonight, UFC Seattle goes down. Top to bottom, really good fight card. I'm going to give you some predictions, but before I talk about Israel Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer, let's just talk about the career of Israel Adesanya. Before he came over from the kickboxing world, where he had an incredible run, 75 wins with 5 losses, 80 professional kickboxing matches, comes over to the UFC.
All right, fight fans.
Joe Pyfer looked into the camera and said the one thing you never say to a legend. He did not just predict a win, he promised to turn Israel Adesanya into a meme. The disrespect was instant, and the silence from the last Stylebender camp was deafening. For a man who ruled the middleweight division with an iron fist, being talked about like a viral joke was the final straw. This was not just trash talk anymore, it was a direct assault on a legacy that took a decade to build. When Joe said he wanted to be the first to finish him in dominating fashion, the line was not just crossed, it was obliterated. The era of the graceful champion is over. Izzy has finally snapped.
Hawks' territory, quite literally in the octagon, if you remember that, right? And then just went on an insane run. Became the middleweight champion. Well, the interim unifies it against Robert Whittaker, defends it 5 times, and then, of course, loses the strap to none other than Alex Pereira, the man that's trying to become the first ever 3-weight division champion. Israel Adesanya's had an awesome career, right? Anytime I say anything good about him,
and that's the beauty of
Marasa's toughness is legendary. In his last outing against Milka Acosta, he was the only fighter recently to actually drag that man into a deep water decision. That kind of durability is a nightmare for anyone who relies on a quick finish. Bisping is banking on Arasa's experience and his ability to weather the early storm to secure another victory. He has the striking, the grit, and the veteran savvy to dismantle younger opponents who think they can just walk through him. Juicy J is not just looking for a win, he is looking to make a statement that he is still a very dangerous man in a very crowded and talented division.
He has lost 4 out of his last 5 fights, but when you look at the losses, it is Alex Pereira, who, by the way, he avenged that loss in the very next fight, didn't take a tune-up fight, came out, knocked him out in the second round, and one of the best celebrations that you'll ever see in all of combat sports. That was phenomenal.
Despite all
the emotional peak of the night belongs to Michael Kisa, a true Seattle native. The Maverick is fighting in his own backyard for what many believe will be his final walk to the octagon. Kisa is the quintessential mountain man, and he he fights with that same rugged, relentless pressure. He is taking on Niko Price, an explosive wildcard who can finish a fight from any position. This is a classic stylistic clash. Kisa wants to get on top and use his elite grappling to suffocate the life out of the fight, while Price wants to create a scramble and land something unorthodox. It is a high-stakes chess match played with 4-ounce gloves.
Marvov. And at 36 years old, and with the long history that he's had in combat sports, the wear and tear on the body, the ups and downs, the losses, the wins, the doubt creeping in, okay? He says that he's not done yet. But he does know he is at the end of his career. He's talking about going off and becoming a DJ in his next career.
Bisping loves Kisa's transition into commentary and analyst work, but he knows that the competitive fire is hard to douse. If Kisa can secure the takedown, his jiu-jitsu is miles ahead of most in the division. The prediction is a submission win for the hometown hero, a perfect fairy tale ending for a man who has given everything to the sport. But Niko Price is not here to be a footnote in Kisa's retirement story. Price is dangerous because he has nothing to lose and a chaotic style that is almost impossible to prepare for. One mistake on a shot and Kisa could find himself looking at the lights in front of his own family.
Now, Pyfer is a dangerous man. This man has God-given knockout power. Some people have it, some people don't. Some fighters train their entire life for the kind of power that Joe Pyfer has, and they will never attain it. You've either got it or you haven't.
The co-main event is a bitter rematch that has been brewing for years. Alexa Grasso and Maycee Barber first met in 2021, and since then, their paths have gone in completely different directions. Grasso did the unthinkable and dethroned the legendary Valentina Shevchenko, becoming the undisputed queen of the flyweights. Maycee Barber, who once famously claimed she would be the youngest champion in history, had to watch from the sidelines as the woman who beat her took the crown she felt was hers. This is more than just a fight for a ranking. This is Maycee Barber trying to reclaim her destiny and prove she is the real alpha of the division.
I think that will be the last time that Israel Adesanya ever competes. The man doesn't need to stick around longer. He doesn't need to try and end it on a win. He's done it. He's been there. He's got the t-shirt. He will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's had an incredible career. He came over to the UFC. He was undefeated. He becomes the champ, the interim champ, then defends it a bunch of times, tries to become a double champ. Along the way, made millions and millions and millions of dollars, okay? He's made the money. He's got the fame. He's got the...
This is the most...
Bisping raised a fascinating point about the psychology of a champion. When you reach the top of the mountain, do you lose that final 1% of hunger? Alexa Grasso has achieved everything, while Maycee Barber is still starving for it. Barber is fiery, well-rounded, and has no visible weaknesses in her current form. She is coming into this rematch with a chip on her shoulder that could move mountains. If Grasso has relaxed even a tiny bit, Barber is the kind of relentless athlete who will exploit that gap and take everything back. This fight is going to be a high-paced technical war where the hungrier fighter usually walks away with the gold.
Before that, Esteban Rivovic gets knocked out in the first round, right? I'm looking at his record here. It's all in the very first round. Now, we did say this week that he's going to refine the style.
We're prepared to stay calm and pick our shots and look for the clean finish.
But that's what Mason Jones said last week before UFC London, right? It's all well and good going, I'm going to be refined, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to take my time, I'm going to set things up and look for openings. Then you get cracked in the face. Bing! You see a flash of light. And then you're fighting on instinct. And next thing you are throwing down like an absolute maniac. And that's what Terence McKinney is going to do. Because it's in his DNA. And no offense to Kyle Nelson, I think he gets it done. So,
moving down the card.
The main event strategy for Joe Pyfer is becoming clearer as Fight Night approaches. Bisping suspects Pyfer will use his wrestling background as a massive distraction. He does not actually need to land the takedown, he just needs Izzy to worry about it. If Adesanya drops his hands even for a fraction of a second to defend a fake shot, that is when the overhand right from hell comes flying in. It is a simple plan, but it is one that has worked against elite strikers time and time again. Pyfer is banking on the fact that he is younger, and his reaction times are just a few milliseconds faster than the aging legend across from him.
Mansour Abdul-Balaik's going to get the job done. The man's undefeated. He's 9-0. He's got 2 wins in the UFC, 1 win on the Contender. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he can wrestle, he's got knockout power, and the man is getting he's a prospect. He's a prospect, and I think that this fight here is going to be another opportunity for him to go out there, blow the world away, and get another knockout and become 10-0. So put that one down, make a note of that. Round 1 KO for Mansour Abdul-Malik. Moving on, Juicy J, Julian Rosa taking on Larry.
Adesanya's pride is his greatest weapon, but tonight it might be his greatest vulnerability. He is not just fighting Joe Pyfer, he is fighting the perception that he is a spent force. Losing to champions like Alex Pereira or Dricus du Plessis is one thing, but losing to a rising contender like Pyfer would be a devastating blow to his legacy. He has been meticulous in his preparation, leaving no stone unturned because he knows exactly what a loss here would mean. He wants to prove that he still has the reflexes and the timing that once made him the most feared striker on the planet. He is fighting for his right to stay at the top.
Julian Rosa, this guy's very talented, trains at Extreme Couture, is it Syndicate? I always get those two mixed up, but he trains there with lots of great people. He's had some good wins in the UFC. He's had a few losses along the way as well. Kind of got released from the organization, went on the region.
The science of aging in MMA is a cruel mistress. Bisping explained that the decline is usually immeasurable to the naked eye. It is not that a fighter gets slow, it is just that the gap between seeing a punch and moving out of the way grows by a tiny microscopic amount. But in a sport where outcomes are decided in centimeters, that tiny gap is the difference between a slip and a knockout. For a defensive counter-striker like Izzy, whose entire game is built on not being there when the punch arrives, any loss of speed is catastrophic. If Joe Pyfer lands flush, we will know instantly that the clock has finally run out.
Seen won a bunch of times, came back to the UFC and looked phenomenal. Went on a 3-fight win streak, beating the likes of Darren Elkins. He's got beautiful flying knees, he's got excellent strikes, he's got the ability to really bite down on the mouthpiece and go to war. Last time out, he went up against Melchizedek Costa.
There is a sense of finality in the air tonight. If Israel Adesanya walks away after this, he does so as an all-time great regardless of the result. He revolutionized the middleweight division with a flamboyant style and a personality that forced people to tune in. Whether you loved the trash talk or hated the dancing, you could not look away when he entered the octagon. He made millions, became a global superstar, and defended his title 5 times against the absolute best in the world. He has nothing left to prove to anyone, but the warrior inside him clearly is not ready to let go of the spotlight just yet.
The only decision on Melchizedek Costa's record recently is to Julian Erosa, and I do believe that Julian Erosa will once again be the victor. Right, now we're moving on. Michael Chiesa, talking about retirement. This is the retirement fight of Michael Chiesa, right? He's a Seattle native. The crowd are gonna go crazy. He lives in Washington.
Joe Pyfer represents the new guard, the heavy-handed wrestlers who are coming to take what the strikers built. He is not intimidated by the flashy credentials or the highlight reels. To him, Izzy is just a man with a chin that has seen better days. Pyfer's confidence is bordering on arrogance, but that is exactly what you need to take down a king. He is ready to cause damage, to hurt the legend, and to become the new face of the division. He is not interested in a respectful back and forth. He wants a dominating finish that leaves no doubt about who the better man is in this new era of the UFC.
The Bigfoot's lurk, right? And Michael Chiesa's like got a certain look about him. He looks like a mountain man, and he fights like a mountain man. He's got excellent grappling. He's a good wrestler. He gets on top of you, and you're in a world of trouble. Now he's taking on Nico Price, a man that's very explosive and very dangerous himself. But I think Chiesa is going to play safe. He's going to get the takedown. He's got the better jiu-jitsu. I do believe he'll get the submission. Fair play to Michael Chiesa. He's a great guy. I love working with him on the desk and around all the UFC stuff. He's a great commentator. He loves breaking down the fights.
Michael Chiesa.
Israel Adesanya does not just fight for belts, he fights for his aura. But lately that aura has been flickering like a dying candle. With 4 losses in his last 5 outings, the vultures are circling and Joe Pyfer is leading the pack. Joe is younger, hungrier, and carries the kind of God-given power that makes veterans wake up in cold sweats. He is not showing the typical reverence you would expect for a future Hall of Famer. Instead, he is treating Izzy like a stepping stone, a relic of the past that needs to be cleared out of the way. This blatant lack of respect has sparked something dangerous inside the former champion that we have not seen in years.
He's awesome at what he does, and as I say, he's had a great run in the UFC. All the best. Nico Price, not an easy man to beat, but I have got Chiesa doing that. Right, moving on. Alexa Grasso, Macy Barber. Now, of course, these two have fought before, back in 2021. It is a rematch, and Macy Barber was defeated last time out. And since then, Alexa Grasso went off and beat Valentina Shevchenko.
The atmosphere in Seattle is electric, especially for the hometown fighters like Chiesa, but the shadow of the main event hangs over everything. The MMA world is split right down the middle on this one. Half the analysts believe Izzy's technical mastery will be too much for the young powerhouse, while the other half are convinced that the era of the last stylebender is officially over. Bisping himself admitted that while he leans toward an Izzy win, he would not be at all surprised to see Pyfer connect and end the night early. It is a fight where any outcome feels possible, and that is why everyone is on the edge of their seats.
Became the champion, okay? Something that Macy said that she was going to do and be the youngest ever. However, she's good. She's fiery. She can do it all. She's got no weak areas. Has Alexa Grasso still got it? Has she still got that fire to become the champion again? Or is she happy?
If the knockout happens, the conversation changes instantly. We will be talking about the rise of a new superstar in Joe Pyfer and the heartbreaking end of a legendary run for Israel Adesanya. The sport moves fast, and it rarely gives veterans a graceful exit. Most legends leave the cage on their shields, and Izzy is risking exactly that tonight. He is putting his reputation on the line against a guy he did not even need to fight just to prove he is still the warrior he claims to be. It is a ballsy move that shows the quality of the man, even if it ends in disaster for his career.
Off and losing that little extra 1% that you need to win those big fights. I'm not saying she has, but I know that Macy Barber still very much has that fire. And I think that Macy Barber's going to go out there and get the win over Alexa Grasso. Right, okay.
Bisping raises a real...
As the lights go down and the walkouts begin, the trash talk stops and the reality sets in. Joe Pyfer has talked his way into the biggest opportunity of his life, and Israel Adesanya has snapped back with the intensity of a man who feels his legacy is being threatened. This is not just another fight on a card. This is a cultural moment for the sport. We are about to find out if the old king still has his crown, or if a new predator is ready to tear it away. The time for talking is over, and the time for Joe Pyfer to see if he can actually back up his memes has finally arrived.
The fight I want to talk about, Israel Adesanya taking on Joe Pyfer. We all know the dangers. Joe Pyfer, one shot can knock you out. He is a good wrestler. He's probably going to go up and fake takedowns. He's probably going to push Adesanya up against the fence. He's going to make him think it's a grapple fest and then look for that overhand right, okay? That's the plan. That's what he's going to try and do, but it's easier said than done. Of course, out of his 15 wins, he does have 9 knockouts. He also has 4 submissions, so he's very well-rounded. Last time out, I got a face crank over Abus Magomedov. Before that, decision over Kelvin Gastelum. And Marc-Andre Barriault, right? Mr. Powerball himself knocked him out in the very first round.
Regardless of who gets their hand raised, the respect for Israel Adesanya's career should be universal. He came into the UFC as an undefeated kickboxing phenom and turned the middleweight division into his personal playground for years. He took on all challengers, never ducked a fight, and gave fans some of the most iconic moments in history. If this is the end, we should all give him the standing ovation he deserves. But if he wins, and if he shuts Joe Pyfer's mouth in dominating fashion, then the last stylebender will have proven once again that you should never ever count out a true champion until the final bell rings.
Arsenal.
Coming into this one, he's a very, very proud man. So you can make sure, you can bet your bottom dollar, he has left no stone unturned in this matchup. He doesn't want to lose to the likes of Alex Pereira and Dricus du Plessis and stuff like that and then lose to Joe Pyfer. Now, I'm not saying that that's anything to be embarrassed about, but what I mean is when you talk about Strickland, former champ, Dricus, former champ, Pereira, one of the greatest of all time, right? There's no shame in losing that. And there's no shame in losing to Pyfer. But
the technical breakdown of this beef is even more chilling. Michael Bisping pointed out that Joe Pyfer possesses a rare, terrifying explosive force. It is the kind of power you cannot teach in a gym. You are either born with it or you are not. Pyfer is banking on the fact that Izzy's chin has been cracked one too many times. He is planning to use feints and wrestling threats to freeze the striker, then land a haymaker that will end the legend's career right then and there. Pyfer is not just looking for a win on the scorecards. He wants to hurt Adesanya, to leave him face down on the canvas, and to make sure the world knows that the last stylebender is officially washed. washed.
Ability to move out the way of a shot, to step back, to parry, to move, to block, to duck, whatever you need to do, to get the underhooks and all the rest of it. The reflexes, okay? That's what slowed down. They're just tiny, almost immeasurable amounts, but it is the difference in between taking a shot that might just glance you or taking it flush on the chin and hitting the deck.
But Izzy is not going into this blind. He has been retreating into his own history, watching old tapes from his days in China. He admitted on his Freestyle Bender page that he realized he stopped using the very moves that made him a god in the octagon. He is revising his style, bringing back the unorthodox strikes and the creative movement that once made him untouchable. This is a man who knows his back is against the wall. He is 36 years old, and in the world of elite combat sports, that is often the edge of the cliff. The rumors of a future DJ career are swirling, but Izzy insists that the fire is still burning hot enough to incinerate a kid like Joe Pyfer.
Landed that right hand that dropped him? We don't know, right? But it's certainly a question, and that's the question coming into this one. Israel Adesanya, I believe he wins this fight. I think that he gets the job done, but it would not surprise me if Joe Pyfer can...
Bisping's take on the situation is brutal and honest. He believes that if Pyfer actually connects with that right hand, we will never see Israel Adesanya in the cage again. The man has made his millions, he has headlined the biggest cards in history, and he has already been the king of the world. Why would he stay around to be a gatekeeper for the new generation? If Pyfer crosses that line and secures the knockout, it is not just a loss for Izzy, it is a permanent exit from the sport. The stakes have never been higher because this is not about a ranking. This is about whether or not a legend can still survive in a world that has moved on.
Him out and he's declared the winner, and we have a new contender on our hands. And if Israel Adesanya decides to walk away from that sport, then all of us should just give him a big old round of applause. Because I tell you what, he came, he saw, he conquered, right? He might have not been your cup of tea, he might have been brash, he might have had some flamboyant style to him, okay? Which he did, right? And that's what the sport needs. The sport needs characters, and whether you love him or you hate him, you tune in. Simple.
While the world watches the main event, the rest of the UFC Seattle card is a powder keg of its own. Terrence McKinney is stepping back into the light, and everyone knows exactly what that means. McKinney is the human personification of a car crash. He does not know how to fight a safe 3-round decision. His DNA is programmed for chaos, for first-round finishes, and for putting his own health on the line to get the kill. Even though he claims he is refining his style to be more patient, nobody believes him. As soon as he gets cracked in the face and sees that flash of light, the animal takes over and he starts swinging for the bleachers until someone goes to sleep. The McKinney philosophy is simple: kill or be killed. Bisping predicts that despite any talk of a new and improved version, Terrence will revert to his primal instincts within 60 seconds. He is taking on Kyle Nelson, a man who is tough enough to weather a storm but might not be ready for a hurricane. This fight is essentially a coin flip, where the only certainty is that the judges will not be needed. It is that brand of reckless abandon that makes McKinney a fan favorite, but it is also why his career is a constant tightrope walk. One mistake and he becomes a highlight for someone else. One clean land and he is the king of the night. Then we have the rising shadow of Mansour Abdul-Balayev. This man is a prospect who is making even the veterans nervous. He is 9-0, undefeated, and looks like he was built in a lab specifically to destroy middleweights. He has the size, the wrestling, and that heavy-handed power that stops people in their tracks. Bisping is so high on this kid that he is predicting a first-round knockout over Yusri Belgaraoui. Abdul-Balayev is the kind of fighter who does not just win, he makes it look easy. If he goes out there and blows the world away tonight, the rankings are going to have to shift immediately to accommodate a new monster in the top 15. In the featherweight division, Julian Juicy J. Arasa is out to prove that resilience is the most underrated trait in fighting. Arasa has been through the ringer, he has been cut from the organization, fought his way back on the regional scene, and returned with a vengeance. He is known for biting down on his mouthpiece and going to war when things get ugly. His win streak included a beautiful flying knee that reminded everyone why he belongs in the big leagues. He is facing Larian Douglas in a match that will determine if he can finally break into the elite tier or if he is destined to remain a high-level gatekeeper for the rest of his career.